Our today's topic is taphonomy and fossil record, and in which we will be discussing the remaining part of the fossil preservation. In the previous session, we have discussed that how an organism is changed after death, right? So there is some burial and there is some changes in its structure. Now we will see that what are the next changes which are taking place, and in that we will be discussing first about the breakage and transport. Breakage means it is broken down, and transport, it is taken from one place to another. So there are several processes of breakage. One of those is physical, another one is the chemical. The physical includes the disarticulation, fragmentation, and abrasion, while in the chemical that includes the bioerosion, corrosion, and dissolution. So first of all, we will be discussing about the disarticulation. Wherever the word dis comes, that means away, right? So it means opposite of what is coming next, right? So it is a suffix, which it is a prefix which is coming after, if any words comes after it, that means it is opposite of that, right? So disarticulation is opposite of articulation. So articulation is, for example, if I am moving my arm, so this is articulation. My forearm is articulating with my arm, right? So now this is the articular joint. So disarticulating means this part of arm is separated from this part of the arm. So that means the disarticulation means that skeletal remains, which are in the form of bones, they are dispersed. Skeletons that are made from several parts may become disarticulated. They become separated and into component parts. And this might result after scavenging or decay of the connective tissue. One thing is that there was some animal who fed on it, and during the process of feeding, he took these off, right? So he dispersed all those things off. But the second thing is that the joints which are joining both of these, there are some parts of the muscles or tendons which are joining these. If those are decayed, right, so there are some bacteria working on those, then this may result into the disarticulation. And the next thing is fragmentation, right? So the bones are not impervious to the forces of the nature. There might be some shearing forces, and that may result into the bone damage, right? So for example, skeletons may also become fragmented. And how does it happen? The individual shells, bones, or pieces of woody tissue break into smaller pieces, usually lines of weakness. We know that there are various joints which are joining our bones, right? So those are the weak points of the bones as well, right? So those are called fibrous joints. And sometimes what happens that after decay has completed, the bones are normally broken down along those joints. So, and after that there is abrasion, right? So wherever the word abrasion comes, that means abrasive. You may have heard about an adjective. That means when you take something off by just slough it off. कोई चीज रगड़ना किसी चीज से, जैसे रेगमार है, रेगमार is abrasive piece of paper, right? So just like sandpaper. So abrasion is shells, bone, and wood may be abraded by physical grinding and polishing against each other and against other sedimentary grains. This normally happens in the streams, right? So नदियों नालों में ऐसा होता है कि whenever water is coming along, it is brushing those pieces of rock or wood or whatever these are into each other, and this results into any formation. अगर उनकी surface पे कोई खुरदरी चीजें हैं तो वो उससे उतर जाएंगे. And then breakage, of course, then there comes the chemical effects. There is a bioerosion, the removal of skeletal material by boring organisms such as sponges, algae, and bivalves. So sometimes what happens that organisms just bore through it. That means उसके अंदर खुदाई करके उसके अंदर चले जाएंगे. और उसमें से सारी चीज़ें निकाल के खुद भी खा लेंगे और उसको भी तबाह कर देंगे. So shells, bones and wood may undergo bioerosion. Normally the logs, कोई दरख्त गिर गया तो उसके अंदर जो है वो wood eating saprotrophs, they would just go in there and it will eat it up. And then there is corrosion and dissolution. Corrosion is something on the surface, and dissolution means that when something is dissolved. So before and after the burial, skeletal materials are commonly corroded and dissolved by the chemical action, right? So if there is some weak acidic water, they are going on, and the shell is made up of calcium carbonate. So acid water will be dissolving it along the after the long time. There won't be any shell because all of it will be dissolved. So, and after that there are the burial and modifications, right? So burial and modification, the remains are typically buried after scavenging, decay, breakage and transport. And sediment is washed or blown over the remains and the specimen becomes deeply buried. So there are two possibilities. One is that something happened and it is gone from the surface, or something happened and it is gone down in the deeper layers of the earth and it is modified to become a fossil. During and after the burial, the specimen may undergo physical and chemical change. Addition of calcium carbonate is called carbonate concretion. We have discussed about the fossils of the feces, right? So the coprolite, those are called coprolite. Coprolites are phosphatized. That means there is the addition of phosphates in them. And after that, there is the plant preservation. We have discussed both plants and animals before, but the plants have some other methods of preservation as well. So through petrification or petrification or cellular permineralization. So petrification means that the whole thing is petrified. Petrified means gal sad jana. So plants are, decayed, and after that there is permineralization. That means the salts or minerals are deposited in the tissues of the cells. And coal balls are present in the North American coal deposits, in which the plants and their materials, the leaves, seeds, cones, pine cones, all of these are in the form of balls, and those balls are carbonate. The calcium carbonate is surrounding those balls. So these are perfect specimens which are containing various information of the ancient plants. And qualified compression, these are present in the coal deposits. And the cementation, again we have discussed about that. The calcium carbonate deposits, if those are happening in the tissues. And direct preservation of the hard parts. The wood is direct hard part of the plants, and it is directly preserved as it is with the help of permineralization. The minerals are deposited inside the cellular compartments of the cellulose, and that in turn results into the direct preservation.